So today we will be learning Module 3, Lesson 5. We will also be going over the homework from Module 3, Lesson 4. Okay. So we are starting out with our do now. So our do now told us to combine like terms for number 1 and number 2. So before we do that, if we had any weird signs going on, like we had a minus like in between, we would want to do some work to kind of get rid of that to make this whole thing a lot easier. But what you have going on here is these are both just being added together. So if you wanted here, you can stack them. You can write them like this and just add them up because it's addition. Okay, if you don't like that way, if you like boxing and circling, you would box in the whole 6x. And then box in the whole plus x. Wow, I'm really making mistakes. So then you get 6x plus x. Well, x is 1x. So you have 7x. And then you have I circle plus 2 and plus 5. So you take that sign with it. If you don't take the sign before it, things are going to be a little bit messy. It's going to be wrong. Okay, so positive 2 plus 2 plus 5. Okay, so 2 plus 5 gives us 7. So this is plus 7. Right, do you know? Yeah, it is. Okay. So then number 2. So we have an extra step to start off with number 2. Okay. We have subtraction here. Anytime you see subtraction, you really want to keep change. But this one is the longer ones. Okay. This is the keep, change problem. So this is going to be, the beginning is going to stay 4x minus 6, but we're going to just drop our parentheses. This first one here is going to become plus. This one is going to become a positive 3x. And this is also going to become plus. Okay? Once we did that work there, we're going to box and circle. So I box in the whole 4x. There's no sign before it, so it's a positive 4. Then I box in the 3x. And this is a plus 3x. So you basically do the work that you see in the boxes. So you see 4x plus 3x, so that's just what you do. And you get 7x. And then you look at your other numbers. You have a minus 6 or a negative 6 plus 9. So if you need to rewrite them on the side, you're always more than welcome. Negative 6 plus 9, okay? So that's same signs, add, different signs, subtract. Positive is bigger, and it's bigger by 3. Okay, if you go down 6 stairs and up 9 stairs, you're 3 higher than where you were. So it's 7x plus 3. Alright, so 3 is just distributing, which is just multiplying the number out front to the inside. So it's negative 2 times a positive 3, which gives you a negative 6. That's your Spun rules. And you keep x. So this is multiplication that's happening right here. Multiplication, okay? Someone asked me about that in class. And then you have negative 2 times, well, you're going to actually look at the signs. Negative 2 times negative 5 is going to give you a positive 10. Okay? So you could have written this as negative 6x minus negative 10. That's also equivalent. We just like writing it this top way. It's a lot neater. It looks better to us as mathematicians. So 4, find the GCF, so the greatest common factor. So if you need to make your list for 12 and 3, you can. 3, your factors are just 1 and 3. 12, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 3 is the greatest common factor, so that's the number you're going to use. Okay? So we're basically divide 3 out of these now when we pull that 3 up front. So 12 divided by 3, we're left with 4x. 3 divided by 3, we're left with 1. You always want this to be in the form blank, blank, plus blank. Okay, it always should be like that. You might be told to write this as a product of 2, what did they say in the homework? Product of 2 factors. That just means they want to see it like this. That's all. Okay, that's all they're saying there. Product of two factors. Okay. All right. At this point, we're moving on to the homework. So make sure you're watching all these videos. You're not just fast forwarding them. You should be watching all of them. So we're moving on to go over that homework assignment, homework 43. That was Module 3, Lesson 4 problem set. We skipped number 1. So we're starting with number 2 in here. So first, A wanted you to fill in the missing information. So they basically wanted you to fill in this up here. So what you had to do is you had to find the greatest common factor. So this is my work up here. I showed my factors for 15, for 5, and for 45. The largest one that they all share, greatest common factor, is 5. Okay? So after I got the 5, to get the rest of these numbers, I divided it out. So 15f divided by 5 is 3f. 5g divided by 5 is 1g or just g. And 45 divided by 5 is 15. Okay? So the sum that was originally represented is those insides just added up. But then they want you to write the sum as a product of two factors. That was what I just talked about for number 4 on the do now. It's where you're multiplying one number by another. This is what we call a polynomial because it's more than one term, but those are being multiplied there. Okay? This can be written as a 1g or just a g. It's the same thing. It's like saying we have Miss Scanlon as a teacher or we have one Miss Scanlon as a teacher. It's kind of weird to say the one way, but it's still the same. Okay? Okay, moving on to 3. So write the sum as a product of two factors. So we want it like this. So we find our greatest common factor here to be 3. You can see I made a couple mistakes here. That's okay. Greatest common factor is 3. So we take the 3 out front. We do 81w divided by 3. We get 27w. And 48 divided by 3. So we get plus 16. This is plus because that is plus. Okay? Down here, 10 and 25, greatest common factor is 5. So taking 5 out of 10, we're dividing it out. You're left with 2. Minus, because that's a minus. And then dividing 5 out of 25t, you get 5t. Okay? So notice your w is in the first one here, but the t is second one here. And that's just based on what happened up here. Okay? Number 4, they're going to the movies. There's 5 people going to the movies. They all buy a ticket and they all get popcorn. So the first way to say is, well, you need 5 tickets and you need 5 popcorns. So you just add them together. Okay? Or you can say, well, each person has a ticket plus popcorn, and there's 5 people doing that. So you multiply the 5 by that ticket plus popcorn. Okay? So this is like the 5 tickets plus 5 popcorns, and this is where it's like not distributed out. It's a product of two factors. 5 people get 1 ticket plus 1 popcorn each. Okay. And then number 5 here, this is all distributing and then combining like terms. So here I distributed -3 out. -3 times 1 is -3. Here I did -3 times -8. And you get a positive, 24. Let me do that in a darker color. Positive 24m, and then plus 6n, because -3 times -2 here is positive 6. Well, here the 5 carries down, because this is 5 minus all that. So only the -7 gets factored out, distributed out. So this probably, most of you got that one wrong, so hopefully you can fix that here. 5 carries down. -7 times -4 is positive 48. That's a plus. You can't tell. Keep our Q. And then -7 times positive 5 is -35. Your like terms are 5 and -35. 5 minus 35. The minus was bigger by 30. Here, I'm just distributing out a negative. It's kind of like multiplying by a -1. So we get -2h plus, wow, I'm doing all kinds of weird things here. -1 times -9 is positive 9. So let me just fix that, pretend that didn't happen. and then the minus 4h gets carried down. This negative here is not given to everything. It's only given to what's inside the parentheses. That's why I wrote this box here to kind of show you that that's the distributive property. This carries straight down, and then your like terms, negative 2h, negative 4h, so negative 6h is total, plus your 9. All right, now we are moving into the lesson. So we are going to be on Module 3, Lesson 5, okay? So this is where you should be, using the identity and the inverse to write equivalent expressions. So first off, let's talk about the identity. So the identity property means you're going to get the number back that you, based on what you're doing to it. So there's the identity property of addition and the identity property of multiplication. Identity property of addition is going to be when you add 0. Identity property of multiplication is when you multiply by 1. Okay? Because to get your identity of addition is when you add 0. To get yourself back, you add a 0 to yourself or multiply by 1. Okay, and then the inverse property, we've talked about this. Multiplicative inverse is the least common one we talked about, 2, and then 1 over 2. Additive inverse we talked about a lot. It's your opposite, 2 and negative 2. Okay. And those ones you're going to want to, if they're adding, they add to 0. If they're multiplying, they multiply to 1. Okay, so we want you to rewrite subtraction as adding the inverse. So that's our keep, change. So 2 plus negative 2, which those are our opposites. Those give you 0. Okay, so pause this quick. Go ahead, do B and C, and then we'll go over D together. Okay, so you should have done B. So negative 4 plus positive 4 is 0. G plus negative G is 0. So what happened here is you subtracted the same numbers or adding the additive inverses. Gives you 0. Okay, so this is actually something we've talked about a pretty good amount at this point. Okay, so then A, they tell you to add or subtract. So 16 plus 0 gives us back 16. 0 minus 7, even if we did keep change here, you still get whatever the ending there was. Okay, so you get negative 7. So go ahead and do C and D. Okay, so you should have done them. C is going to give you negative 4, and D actually gives you D. 0 plus anything is itself. Okay, so you should be hitting play again now that we're here. What pattern do you notice in parts A through D? Well, when you add 0, you get the original number back. Okay, so I usually just say it as when you add 0, you get itself. Anything plus 0 is itself. Okay. All right, you can go ahead and flip to the next page. So we're going to do all of example 1 together, then you're going to do exercise 1. So example 1, write the sum and then write an equivalent expression by collecting like terms and removing parentheses. Okay. So write the sum. So sum is adding. So it's 2x plus negative 2x plus 3. Okay, so we're collecting like terms. Same thing as combining. I spelled that wrong. Combining like terms. Okay, so our like terms here, we have 2x, plus negative 2x. So 2x plus negative 2x, you do 2 plus negative 2, which is 0x, which is just 0. So just your 3 that you're left with there. Okay. G, 2x minus 7 and the opposite of 2x. So 2x minus 7 and the opposite of 2x is going to be plus a negative 2x because it said to add them, find the sum. So now I like terms. We have 2x plus negative 2x again, which is 0x or 0. And then you have minus 7. So it's just that negative 7. Okay, H, opposite of 5x minus 1. Be careful here. When you do the opposite of this, you do the opposite of each piece. So the opposite of the 5x is going to be negative 5x. And the opposite of minus 1 is going to be plus 1. So that's the opposite. And then the sum, you're adding 5x. Okay, so like terms here. Negative 5x plus 5x. So again, 0. We keep our plus 1, so it's just 1. Okay. So go ahead and do exercise 1. Either now or pause it. Either pause it now and do it now or do them all at the end. Either way is fine. But I am moving on to example 2. So in example 2, they give us these series of numbers. All the numbers that they give us here are multiplicative inverses. Multiplicative. So this is the word that people have trouble saying a lot of times. You want to just start by saying like multiplication. Multiplicative. Okay? Multiplicative inverses. Meaning they multiply to 1. So it's just the flipped fraction is what it is, the flipped fraction, okay? So we have 3 over 4 times 4 over 3. So we'll multiply across, so 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 over 12 is 1. Okay, so this is 4 over 1. So 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Again, this is 1. Here, same as 9 over 1, so 1 times 9 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. We get 1. And last but not least, same thing here. Whichever way you could give the negative to the 1 or the 3, it doesn't matter. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. So all of these are 1. Multiplicative inverses multiply to 1. Okay. Alright, last page of this lesson. We were talking more about those multiplicative inverses now. So write the product and then express in standard form by removing parentheses and combining like terms. Basically, as simple as we can possibly give you or get the problem. So they want the multiplicative inverse of 1/5. So that's flipping this fraction over. So the multiplicative inverse is 5. And then you're multiplying that by 2x minus 1/5. Okay? So you're actually going to distribute this out. So it's going to be 5 times 2x. So 5 times 2 is 10. So that's 10x. And then it's going to be 5, so minus 5 times 1/5. 5 times 1/5, they're inverses, gives you 1. Okay? Can't do anything more here. X, a 10x, and a minus 1, they're not like terms. You can't multiply anymore from there. Okay? So n, multiplicative inverse of 2. So this is 2 over 1. So your inverse is 1 over 2. Multiplying by 2x plus 4. So you're going to want to distribute again. So 1/2 times 2 is 1x. And then 1/2 times 4, half of 4 is 2. So you write it like this, or just x plus 2. They're like terms. They're not like terms. These are equivalent, whichever way you write it. 1x or just x. All right, and then O. So O seems tricky, but it's actually not. So the multiplicative inverse of 1 over 3x plus 5 is that whole bottom of your fraction. So it's just 3x plus 5. And we're multiplying that by 1/3. So I wrote it in the back of this parentheses, but it's the same thing as if it was up front. We're going to distribute out. So 3 times 1/3. 1/3 of 3 is 1, so 1x. And then 5 times 1/3. So I'm going to write it over here. 5 is the same as 5 over 1. So this is 5/3. So you can keep it 5/3. You can write it with just an x here, and then 1 2/3. Whichever way you would like to write it is fine. Okay? Alright, from there, finish exercise 2. So P, Q, and R right now. When you are done with all of these, oh, sorry. He would pick now to do that. When you are done with, it's my chinchilla, I'll show you him in a minute, don't worry. When you're done with all of these, you want to make sure you're done with everything else in lessons 1 through 4, and then everything else in this lesson. Once you're done with all of those, you may go ahead and work on your homework. If you're done with your homework, find something else productive to do, or ask if I need help with anything from there. So I will now show you my chinchilla, since I've been begged to show you him for the past couple weeks now. So this is just my spare bedroom. So there he is. He's on his wheel right now. Can't really see him that well because the lighting's not very good. But he's making all kinds of noise. Oh, there you go. He's running. Oh, perfect. So he's making all kinds of noise. He's got his little hands. You can't see because my finger's in the way. Sticking out here. Being all kinds of nosy. If you walk, his little paw goes up when he gets... Yeah, he's really cute. Okay. That is all. Hopefully you are all set. At this point, you are finishing on working on your problems. So yeah, have fun. Bye.